darkness is upon us now. Be very careful.
We start off with our team descending deep underground, when suddenly the elevator collapses. There's fire, there's loud noises, one of the crew members tries to pull us out, and then everything goes black. We wake up alone. In a cave. Well, mostly alone. There's an AI companion, and I will forewarn you, he talks a lot. So with that, it's time to make our way into this new world and do a little bit of surviving. We make our way toward the light at the end of the tunnel, and wow, one of the most cinematic views in the game hits us like a brick. There's giant stone pillars, towering trees, lush
This is quite extraordinary.
So near the cave's entrance, I find a scanning tool, and we start analyzing the local plants. And you can scan various plants and other things in the game to find out how they might be used in crafting or whether or not they may be nutritious. But I quickly run out of things to scan and notice there's only one path forward, a cliff. So we get a running start and jump down into the pond below. After that, we get out and start our exploration of the nearby area. We then come across our first food source, and it's freaky, like pulled straight from a nightmare freaky. But a man's gotta eat. Or maybe a man doesn't, but whatever. We try it anyway. After that, it's time to craft an axe, which leads to my favorite mechanic in the game, gathering long branches. And how do we do that? By kicking the absolute hell out of small trees. It's weirdly satisfying. Like, every time I do it, I feel like the forest owes me money. We grab some rocks, wrap them in vines, and craft our first tool/weapon, an axe. We then used our newfound power to chop down our first larger tree. That's also when we learned about one of the major mechanics in the game, which is that the environment reacts to your presence. Essentially, as you go around doing damage and building structures, the world responds by treating you almost as if you're some sort of virus. It's a neat mechanic, and I'm certainly excited to see how it plays out. Then we solved our water situation by finding these cool mushrooms that were shaped like little cups. We were able to fill it with water from the nearby pond, but we'd need to boil this water before we could drink it. So now it was time to find a place to settle down and build a camp. While I was searching for the perfect spot, I decided to interact with some of the local wildlife. And yeah, they don't want to be pet. Fine, I guess. After searching around for a bit, I see the perfect spot to make a camp. Yes, this will do very nicely. I'm then looking to build the campfire when it starts raining.
Mars? How remarkable.
Yes, remarkable. But what's also remarkable is that it's raining underground. So back to building the campfire, we place that bad boy, gather the materials we were lacking, and light her up. This lets us boil our water, and finally gives us a solution to our hydration problem. And with night on the way, we go ahead and build a bed. The game calls it a lean-to. I don't think the guy who named this knows what a lean-to is, but that's okay. God, that mechanic is never gonna get old for me. So with the bed finished up and night sounding like the kind of threat I wasn't equipped to deal with, we went ahead and got some sleep. We survived our first night, and on the list for the new day was to build a workbench. After that, our AI friend gave us coordinates to a nearby stone structure that he wanted us to check out. And on the way out, I noticed those weird infection blobs. This was a part of that dynamic ecosystem thing I mentioned earlier, and basically meant the game was already reacting to our small little camp we'd set up here. At the coordinates, we found one of our injured teammates from the elevator. He mentioned there were others who had also survived, and after that, he was dead. But he did have a grappling hook on him, so we helped ourselves to it. He wouldn't be needing it anymore anyways. We then went on to check out the cave that was in the area behind him, and it had this really unique sort of dungeon kind of feature. Basically, it let you know what kind of things you might want before proceeding forward. You could ignore it, but we certainly weren't going to. So we went back to the camp and started crafting some of the things we'd need to head back and clear it out the next day. And while out gathering materials, nighttime started to settle in again, starting off with another one of those really creepy sounds. I did feel a little bit more protected tonight since I had a sword I had crafted, so we stayed out a little later just to see some of the nightlife before heading back to the camp and getting some sleep. The next morning, we'd crafted everything we needed, except a bow. It turns out it required an ingredient I hadn't discovered yet, so I set out to find it. While I was out exploring, I also decided to take on those crab things from earlier. They didn't seem so scary now that I had a proper sword and shield. We took them down pretty easily. They drop meat and shells, which, like the mushrooms we found earlier, can be used to hold water. After what felt like forever exploring, we finally stumbled on a cave filled with massive webs hanging from the ceiling. Naturally, I was thinking, giant spiders, great. But nope, just silkworms. Not exactly the nightmare I was bracing for, but I'll take it. And we went a little deeper into the cave, which got pretty creepy pretty quickly, but inside I found the last ingredient we needed for the bow, which was silk. So with a bow and some arrows crafted, we had all the gear we needed and set out to clear that dungeon we had found earlier. I wasn't really sure what to expect when we got into the dungeon, but I'll be the first to admit that giant underground alien complex wasn't on my bingo card. We went inside anyway and started clearing the complex out, seeing what we could find and taking any loot we ran into. The only enemies I ran into was the silkworms, which we made short work of. In fact, I started to think that was going to be the only enemy in the dungeon, but then we ran into this guy. This is where that bow came in handy. After clearing out the spider creature, I went to move the explosive barrel that was blocking the door, but instead of setting it down gently, I did a very classic me move and accidentally yeeted it. I had survived my own stupidity, but I wasn't sure I'd survive what came next. At first, I thought it was another one of those acid-spitting beetles, so I readied my bow and took the shot. That's when I realized this wasn't the same thing. This one looked like some kind of Edward Scissorhands beetle, and I had no doubt that it wanted to flay me and wear my skin to its next birthday party. Aside from the claws and its ability to leap like a psychopath, this thing had one more trick up its sleeve, and it was killing me faster than any attack. It absolutely tanked my frames. So I did what any seasoned gamer would do, and I hit it with my most powerful weapon, Alt F4. And you don't get to see me kill him because I forgot to hit record when I rebooted the game. But what you do get to see is the world's slowest door opening animation. Anyway, I came back a year later and went through the opening in the door. What is this, an opening for ants? On the other side was a lot of the same thing. We continued exploring the complex and fighting off silkworms until we finally reached a massive room, which had a few surprises for us. An exit, a key card to use the exit, which was locked inside some type of vat, and a gigantic creature also locked inside the vat with the key card. If we were going to escape, we'd have to open the vat. So after collecting all the power cores, I did what any reasonable person trying to escape would do, and I opened the vat.
I've detected a poisonous gas leak. Also, the monster is now uncontained.
Now, I stuck to using arrows for as long as I could to try and keep my distance from this thing. It was definitely creepy, and I really didn't want to get anywhere near it. But after a while, I ran out of arrows, and with nothing left to lose, I charged in with my sword and finished her off. With the queen defeated, I went back to grab that key card, but instead there was a glowing plant inside the vat, and like a moth drawn to flame, I had to touch it. This ultimately led to my ability to mutate and interact with the world around me. Pretty cool if you ask me. And I know the developers have pretty big plans for this feature, so I'm excited to see where it goes. And with that, we were able to escape the complex and complete the playtest. I had a lot of fun with this one, and if you're interested in checking it out for yourself, there will be a link below in the description of this video. With that said, thank you all for watching. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I look forward to seeing you next time.